I guess while we wait, I'm going to do a little bit of an intro on everybody, just to kind of give everybody who's listening an idea of who's kind of here today and who's having a chat. And then I guess we'll just get into...
Is it just us? Just us listening right now, the five of us?
I think so. I think so. We're going to, I guess it'll pick up as we keep going.
Oh, I see it.
But we've hit 7 a.m. now, so I just want to get kind of cracking.
Do it.
Alrighty, so we got 4 artists in today. Okay, firstly, this is Final Export. This is a bit of an idea that I've come up with just purely from having different conversations with different artists over the last few months as we've been releasing our project. These conversations have been really, really interesting, so I've thought to myself, I feel like everyone else needs to kind of get in on these conversations because a couple of important things have been said. But yeah, so basically each week I'm just going to kind of like reach out to some artists on different chains and get them up and not talk finance for one, because a lot of AMAs out there, but there's no, there's not enough stuff in my opinion that just talks about art, which is what we're here to do. So we got 4 guests. Our first being Fantom Punks. He's a unique one-of-one NFT artist. I ripped this off your Twitter, but there's only supposed to be 100 minted. Each punk is handcrafted. Fantom Punks has a history of fine arts in oil and acrylic paints, which I found very interesting. But these punks are all generated as digital pixel drawings. Our next guest is Sylent. I'm just going to kind of like race through them so we can get chatting. Sylent is a 3D digital artist. He works with the project AVAX Warriors. He uses many different softwares and techniques from CAD modeling and procedural like polymodeling and sculpting. So I guess he's sculpting on the computer. So be interested to hear about this process. He uses digital media apart from notes, and he has the occasional sketches as well. So we move on to Clokkworky. Clokkworky, as well, Sylent exists on the AVAX chain with AVAX Warriors, obviously. Clokkworky is another Fantom artist. I've met Clokkworky quite a while ago. He's another one-of-one NFT artist, working with a genre I guess we call Psychedelic Cubism, which I love. It's digital art, but he works with physical canvas works and fluid colors as well, which I'm keen to hear a lot more about. And then the final artist is AVAX Samurai. Now, I'm pretty keen to start with you, Mayor, and your team, purely because I don't have the same kind of info as I do on the rest of the artists here. So do you want to give a bit of an introduction? No, that's cool. That's totally fine. That's what we're here to do. We're here to have a chat. So
yeah, sure.
Go for it. Give us an introduction about what you do and the mediums you use, and how you work as an NFT artist.
Yeah, we are a team of 2 with Mama, and this is our first project for an NFT. And we are both fine art students. We graduated like 2 years ago, and now we do this. And we both study ceramics, actually, ceramics and glass to be specific. And
wow.
Yeah, same school, same section. Yeah, can you go on, Mama?
Yeah, sure. So we want to make a traditional Japanese dish, and it's called ukiyo-e, because I really love Japanese culture, and I kind of grew up in it. So
wow, okay.
In time, I practiced it a lot while I was going to university, while I was going to high school, etc.
Yeah, we actually use the traditional ukiyo-e style with our modern touch. So it's not.
That was one of the things I was really
traditional. Yeah.
I was really interested in the style of the artwork. You can see it particularly in the hands in the AVAX Samurais. But
because we wanted to move the style and our character to the metaverse. So we thought it has to be also modern.
Of course.
And he has a backstory. It's kind of sad because he loses his master and he seeks for. He goes on a journey to find his identity, and at some point he finds himself in the metaverse, and his identity spreads. He enters a temple, and his identity spreads around everywhere. And
That's
now,
cool.
at first he was one, and now he's 10,000. There's 10,000 of him.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so
Yeah.
you've obviously made sure that there's this like a very strong narrative or storytelling element that's come through in the work. Is that correct? And that's come from you guys, the artists, or is
Yeah, we made the story.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, we made.
Awesome. I'm really interested, I guess, in the question that I'll try and get around to every artist, but I'm really interested in the relationship with your team. So is the team much larger than yourselves? Like, in terms of creative decisions and in terms of artistic decisions, is that a role that you guys both kind of run and manage?
So for
Yeah, go.
so for artistic side of the team, we are just two of us, and for sometimes it was kind of overwhelming, but we did a really great job, I believe, and she thinks so as well. But of
Yeah,
course, we have a team outside of us that's working really hard, and we are really grateful for them as well. We
Mhm.
we became all close friends actually, and yeah.
That's really awesome. That's good. That's good to know. That's good stuff.
Yeah, he said he was hard, I think, because it was you make all the visuals, we make the NFTs, we make every visual you see, yeah, we make them.
That was going to be another question. There's some really cool posters and stuff up on
Oh,
the.
thank you.
That's all of you guys as well. So you're kind of putting a bunch of design and graphic design and almost image branding throughout it as well. So you guys definitely take charge of all of that as well.
Yeah, we are multidisciplinary artists, so
That's really cool.
we want to put everything we can make in it.
That's really, really interesting. I love the story that you guys have. And you said, so did you go to university in Japan, or did you go to university somewhere else? Like, and you've obviously met at university, built this fiery, awesome partnership, and you've now taken this through, which has met a team, which has led to this project. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. But we didn't go to university in Japan. We actually never been there, and we hopefully.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, we hope
You're
to
just
go there
obsessed.
with.
You're obsessed with the culture.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
who the fuck's not, right? Like,
Right.
it's probably the most
And
obsessive.
summarize who doesn't love him.
Yeah. Exactly.
Very
Sweet
cool.
as. I'm gonna jump over to another artist, guys. And we're just gonna. I just want to make sure we kind of get a chat on each kind of project, and then we'll have a kind of an open discussion.
Yeah,
This is the first episode, so I'm still trying to nut out kind of how to roll these, you know.
Yeah. Thank
I want
you.
to move over to Fantom Punks. Brother, can you tell me about this transition for you from being? You say you have a history of art in fine arts and oil paints and all this stuff. Can you talk about this transition, which to me sounds like an incredible journey of someone who's working with oil paints and physical mediums, and eventually ends up at this really incredibly clean, beautiful 8-bit art.
Right.
So
for years we're doing oil paintings and like little character drawings, sometimes over old photographs, and started doing those. And I actually did an NFT collection of those. They're on OpenSeas currently. They're just sitting there. No one looks at them. No one cares about them, right? At the same time, I was very active in the Phantom Marines Telegram group, right? So everyone's chatting along there, and you notice that no one had any cool avatars or PFPs. And so I drew myself one, and I started, chatting with other folks, and soon I was getting DMs, man, can you make me one of those, And this is really before I was doing any NFTs at all. This was just me kind of doodling and sketching. And
how long ago is this?
Oh man, I guess late 2000, I'd say.
Yeah, wow, okay.
I gotta check my OpenSeas collection. I don't know when I started posting those. I think it was maybe before May of this year. So, but yeah, I mean, I launched the punks on May 1st. So this is actually my 7-month anniversary today, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so people, they started hitting me up. Can you make me one? And I would just send them a JPEG of a little pixel punk, right, with the Fantom logo. That they all had to have the Fantom logo on their hats or on their tattoo on their neck or somewhere there had to be that logo. So yeah, so eventually I was like, man, this would be awesome as an NFT. Obviously CryptoPunks is not an original idea, but to have them with the Fantom logo, I thought was pretty cool. And ultimately it was cool to just see people in the community chatting with one another with a Fantom Punk. That was sort of how it was born.
That's epic.
Yeah, and so since that I haven't done any sort of painting or drawing since. I'm just totally too
okay. Yeah, that was gonna be another question of mine. It's like, what program are you using to create these Fantom Punks?
Yeah, so I use Procreate on an iPad, right?
Okay.
With the
So
iPen.
because of the grid, I'm really interested with 8-bit art. It's always intrigued me because usually in art you have this freedom of detail, right? Like you're able to completely like hone in on detail and like use that detail to create like the depth of your artwork. But with 8-bit, it seems like you've almost like willingly entered this challenge of you have such a limited access to detail that you have to kind of really be creative about how and where you put your detail, Right.
So I had to specifically design a 1 pixel by 1 pixel brush. And then, my canvas is 256 by 144 pixels. So it's really small. And that's how you get the 1 by 1 pixel. And then from there, I sort of copy pasted onto a bigger canvas. What is that, like 1200 by, can't remember now.
Yeah, because these are vectorized shapes, right?
Right.
So you take that and then you can blow it up. Is that correct? Basically.
Right. So you can blow it up without losing any of the quality of the image. And
wow, that's really interesting. So you're actually drawing in 8-bit kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, and the challenge is always getting the detail in there because you only have so many squares to work with within the on the canvas. So that's always my challenge. And now, if you look at my earlier pieces to where they are now, they've certainly evolved. I'm not sort of beholden to the 4x4 blocks that I was using before. Doing more curved lines, more just. More free with it, I guess you could say. Yeah,
for sure. Nezik's got a question. He says, despite your huge success with Fantom Punks, how do you feel about your other /original projects still sitting on OpenSea?
I really don't think about it much. It's just it was great. So
move on.
Yeah, well, no, yeah. I'd like to revisit it again for sure because when I launched it, I sold like 3 the first day or 2, and I was high-fiving everyone. I was like, I can't believe someone just bought this, And then, but the challenges on OpenSeas and on Ethereum is just the cost, the gas prices, and
totally.
It's an absolute nightmare for an artist to launch on those chains. Well, Ethereum specifically. So, I kind of, when I moved over to Fantom, I'm sort of a maxi now, just with the no gas fee to mint these things. And then especially to build the contract, I stumbled through that a few times, and it would have cost me a fortune if it wasn't for paying pennies for every mint and all that. So, it's just very user-friendly. It's just, it's how it should be, right? Yeah, and especially for a new artist launching and trying to start their thing, you don't have to deal with gas wars and I hate seeing, gas is cheap now, come buy my NFT. That shouldn't be an issue. So.
Epic, man. Thank you for that wonderful in-depth insight. I'm gonna punch on over to our next guest, Sylent. I've got a lot of questions here. I think this is great. This is kind of expressing the kind of variety what we want to have here on this AMA. Sylent is a, like I said before, is a 3D digital artist. Basically, man, I have a bunch of so many questions purely because I'm just so foreign to this process, and I'm sure a bunch of us artists in here probably are. I'm going to drop a bunch of your photos into the chat, but
Sure,
yeah, I want to ask, can you explain digital sculpting for anyone who doesn't know in here? How do you sculpt it? And my particular question is, I want to know your understanding of lighting and how you get like the lighting in some of these photos is just so incredibly bang on. Is this how much of that is computer interjection, and how much is that your kind of understanding and knowledge of lighting as a whole? But yeah, can you please just explain what this sculpting is?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, like the lighting, and I'll get to that. But like with basically digital sculpting is where you'd have a software, and I mean, it's really you could like basically play like sculpt stuff like you would sculpt in real life, basically, just with an undo button. So I mean, I don't know if have you heard of ZBrush? Maybe some of you have heard of ZBrush.
Yeah,
It's like
I've heard.
This is sick. I love it. I've
thank
seen
you.
one of your works now. There's two. Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Thank
Also,
you so
I'm
much.
actually a 3D modeler as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so I originally come from like an architecture background, so I studied like architecture before I started
Right.
like doing these things, so that really gave me like a base of, I mean,
That's
more
so
technical, like more like CAD based. So it was like a lot of very technical, like drawing buildings,
Do you
CAD
have
based
any
modeling.
any background in film at all? Because you have a very, very incredible understanding of composition. It maybe not film, but even photography or something like.
Yeah, I mean, photography, I mean, like, it was always like a hobby, to be honest. So, like, I mean, on film, I'd really, I mean, like, watch a lot of movies, I guess. And yeah, I used to take, I mean, I still do, like, take pictures on in my free time. Like, if I'm not creating something digitally on the computer, I think it's just like another way of like not working, but still being creative. You know what I mean? Like
Of
getting
course.
out and still being able to take pictures, and you still think, I mean, you're still being creative in a different way. Like you're still thinking about lighting and composition
Mm.
and all these different things.
Yeah, it's kind of what I love about photography is you're made to constantly think about those things.
Right.
If you can sculpt in the computer, do you sculpt in real life? Like, can you talk about your journey to becoming like so computer orientated? I know you said architecture was kind of your basis, but like, do you have? You said there's sketches involved in your process and stuff. Can you talk a little bit about how an AVAX Warrior comes from your mind to an exported JPEG?
Yeah. So, I mean, mostly like with these projects, I'd always start with like just having like a very basic brief of like what you'd actually want to do, you know, and then have like these sketches would be very, very like simple. Like I can't really draw that well. So I'd have like my personal sketchbook, and before, it's not always the case, but before I'd start in 3D. Like usually I'd do like 2D sketches just to make like really simple ideas, or like try to find a silhouette. And it basically just goes in like a ton of iterations. So like if you look at the AVEX Warrior now, how it is, like it would start off with a blockout shape of its main silhouette. And it's basically like a hybrid, like a mixture of all these different like techniques. So you'd have CAD modeling for like the skeleton, and which is like super very technical, and then polymodeling and sculpting for muscle and more organic shapes. So like, I really like to combine all these different techniques because I feel like it just works well in my opinion, and like it is like really interesting to me, like to mix all these different kind of techniques.
For sure. It's really interesting that you mention skeleton because AVAX Samurai as well. Feel free to chime in here, but I know with the Mingos as well, it begins as a very bold Mingo and a very kind of basic plain Mingo. It's funny that you mentioned that purely just because like I can already hear similarities between the approach of a generative art by having kind of that baseline skeleton and then kind of adding the differences and the attributes on top of that. Is that right? Like every AVAX warrior does kind of start with the same all the way down to the very bone skeleton. Is that correct?
Yeah, they all have the same skeleton, and I mean the thing is, like right now, basically with this, like you'd have like I'm guessing with like most of the what's it called, like these collections, NFT collection, that you'd have like a base and have different assets, you know. So like basically what we're trying to do is have like the same approach to have like for now just like a base character and have different assets and materials.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
wild. That's crazy. We're almost at 7:30, so we were doing really, really well for time. So I'm going to jump over to our last guest for an intro. Thanks so much, Sylent. We'll delve deeper into that, and everyone in the chat room, I will get to your questions. I'm just trying to like make sure everyone gets a nice solid intro before we start chatting shit. This is Clokkworky. I first found Clokkworky. He was the first artist I ever got introduced to in the NFT space, and I've been following his work very closely ever since. Clokkworky.
Well, I didn't know this, man. Thanks.
Oh, dude, that's okay. I got keen
Thanks
eyes.
for having me, man.
Mate, no, it's totally fine. So Clokkworky is a bit different and interesting. I guess I'm really keen to talk about his approach. He's basically playing the game as an artist and a one of one NFT artist here on Fantom. It's intense. I'll drop a bunch of works in the chat, but he works with Psychedelic Cubism. He says here he's got a history in physical canvas and fluid colors. My question to you was how long was the journey of like how long were you a physical artist and working with physical artwork before you found NFTs? Was there a specific person or team that got you into it? And where did go for it?
Yeah. So art has always been some kind of part of my life. So I started like drawing on paper when I was a very small kid. It started with interpreting the vinyl covers of my father's vinyl collection when I was very young, and then I just kept on going. I was always interested in doing art, in drawing and in painting, and I had a lot of very, very nice, good teachers.
Was your father a musician by chance, or did he just have a great taste in music?
No, he just had a great taste of music, and he lived the 60s and 70s in a proper manner. So,
is there any album artworks? Is there any album artworks from back then that we would know that is that sticks in your mind as being some sort of visual inspiration back then, or is it all kind of?
Yeah. So one vinyl cover that really is that still is in my mind from this time it's from Alice Cooper. The song is called Poison. This is still in my mind. Definitely one I interpreted, but I don't think I have the image yet. Still, so but this is definitely the only cover I remember.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I just started to get my own vinyl. How do we call it? Vinyl
collection. Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. And now I can just like relive this or these emotions and times once again. But
that's wild.
Yeah, exactly. So and then I just kept on going. I finished high school.
So before you were using software to create this artwork, what mediums and what were you working with? And my question is like, would we expect the style that we see in your digital artwork, would that be similar to the stuff that you were doing previously on physical artwork, or has your style and your approach completely changed because of your transition into digital art?
Well, I can drop some
Please
images
do.
if you want
Please do.
of some physical stuff I did. So I did a lot of like ink drawings on paper. For example, this one. This is an interpretation of Pablo Picasso, which is one of my favorite artists, and which plays a huge role in in the whole inspiration I get out of art. So it should drop in a second. Yeah, there you go. So this is
Wow,
on
dude.
this is Dyna A3, so like 30x40 centimeters. Then
And
there's
that's
another.
ink. That's ink? Is that right?
It's ink. It's ink. It's ink. It's ink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, that's so
Um,
wild.
There you see, this is
Just
an
can I?
acrylic and ink painting. Yeah,
I'm
go.
just I'm super curious. So do you basically start like with a drawing, and then
Um,
kind of just like randomly interject lines, and then kind of continue with the drawing, or like at what stage does the how do I just describe it, this interrupting line, like line work, like, because you know what I mean, at
mhm.
what point does that come into the drawing?
Yeah, so it depends. Usually I have some kind of main idea in my vision in my mind when I start on it. And then I try to get, at first I try to get the proportions right. For example, when we look at the Picasso piece, I try to get the face, like the basic
Mm-hmm.
proportions that the person I'd like to draw is somehow recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
And after I get the main proportion, I slowly start to add those fractions and new elements, and then I put in more and more black and white contrast or color contrast to somehow put focus in some parts of, for example, the main motive. But on the other hand, I try to lose this kind of focus on other parts of the main motive to somehow distract the human eye and to play around with different elements. Yeah, so the more you concentrate on it, the more things you see, and the more you see how it's all connected.
That is
And
so
sometimes I
wild.
also just like start with random lines and see what's coming out of it and how I can connect it with a last part of the image and how to build on it. Exactly. So these are
It's so
some
crazy.
smaller work like on paper, but I'm currently also working on like 5 different canvas paintings. Can I drop them too?
Yeah, dude. Drop whatever the fuck you
Okay.
want.
Okay, thank you, man. Mhm.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Um, do you work with a team, or do you, as in kind of like to prepare your contracts and do all that kind of nitty gritty bullshit, or do you just do everything yourself, or you just a one man team?
Well, regarding my artworks, I do it all on my own.
Of course.
I have my own collection contract on Fantom. But yeah, I do love to do collaborations with different artists or with other projects. For example, I did a collaboration for Liquid Driver, which isn't live yet, because they had some struggles setting it up on Arteon
Mm.
on the one Fantom marketplace. But these kind of things we also got a utility, so there's somehow some kind of teamwork. But the artworks
Yeah.
you see over here are all created by my own,
Mm-hmm.
on my own. Yeah, exactly.
Epic.
So these are the big canvas paintings. I'm actually working on these paintings quite for a long time, and I wanted to finish them earlier this year. But then the whole NFT space picked up and suddenly skyrocketed, and I just bought an iPad to
Mm-hmm.
actually just try it out, and then I totally got addicted to it. Holy shit! And I can't get rid of
Amen,
it.
my dude. Yeah, I think we all might have been in that position.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, exactly. Uh,
It's pretty
So
wild,
yeah,
to talk about that piece of technology on its own. Like
exactly.
it, that thing,
And
that
it's so
thing, that
productive.
it's insane. Like it's absolutely insane.
Mhm.
It's completely revolutionized at least the way I have been able to work. Like I'm a graphic designer, so that's what I do I do logos and branding and image stuff, and that's my compromise in terms of an art form. So that the iPad just completely changed my life in terms of productivity, as you put it.
Yeah, 100%.
Sick. Thanks so much for that, man. That was so awesome. All the artists here, remember,
Yeah, thanks.
just use that use that AMA chat room to drop whatever you want in there, just to kind of get people around kind of your process and whatnot. I'm going to put a question to everybody, and I just want everyone to kind of feel free to chime in and start a bit more of a joint conversation now that we all kind of have heard a bit about each other. I want to talk about things. I want to talk about things that we're skeptical of. I want to kind of open that up as a conversation. Actually, yeah. Just about, as in, like, is this the space and the way that it works, and like where we might see potential problems leading into the future with artists either kind of being left on their own, or artists kind of always requiring a team, or artists like just kind of potential problems that we all see as fellow artists for how the space might, challenges that arise upon the growth of the NFT space, because it's still very, very it's in its infancy and it's in its youth. Does anyone want to chime in on this?
Well, I think what you see now is any new project that comes out is trying to sort of figure out what their purpose is, right? Is it a utility? Is it just a piece of art to collect? So yeah, I get a lot of questions like, is this mint too big? Is the price too much? These are all going to be problems going forward. Just sort of determining what your ultimate goal is in the space, right? And people ask me advice, and I don't really know. I tell them, just have fun doing what you're doing, and wherever it takes you, it takes you.
Do you think it's going to be it's going to become kind of difficult, and well, not so much difficult, but really demanding for those one kind of art collectors who are just like, yo, I'm just here for the art. I'm creating sick art and I'm selling sick art. There's not much more to that other than, I've spent a lot of time and put a lot of passion into my art. Do you feel like there might be, there'll always be a space for those people?
I think on Fantom, that's all I can speak about for sure. There's always going to be a space. We have the auction houses that really encourage and embrace the 1-1 artist. And, from there's collaborations that grow. There's, like Clokkworky is doing collaborations with some of the bigger, Liquid Driver, Nipple Labs, etc. So, they reach out they see the art, the 1-1 piece, and then they're like, let's do a generative. And I think as long as these auction houses are alive and well, I think there's always going to be a place for people to come, certainly on the Fantom network, to showcase their work. I mean, no doubt.
What about on the AVAX network, guys? Is there something to kind of chime in on this on your side?
Well, maybe something, this is like very general, I guess, but I think everyone has probably like seen it or heard. And I feel like one issue with this whole new like movement in tech, like of course it brings like a ton of utility and opportunity for like people like artists and everything, but you'd always have like also issues with of like people like stealing work. Basically, I've seen it like a bunch of times where people would like you'd have like pages selling these NFTs, which are just basically copied, or like saved pictures from other, and then it was just like, it seems like such a pain if like this person has been selling them already, and then the artist finds out after. You know what I mean? I feel like I've seen that so often.
Oh yeah, that's happened to me probably 3 or 4 times.
Really?
And and all I do is just copy paste it and throw it on Twitter and call them out on it. Let the community, aware that these are just. I mean, there's tons of it. If I haven't looked in a little while, but a couple of weeks ago I found 2 at least. Just Fantom Punks, and it wasn't even close to anything that I've ever made, but. They threw the name on there, and it's the worst screenshot off of a dusty desktop, and they're trying to sell them. And PaintSwap, on the Fantom Network, does a good job about policing that stuff. Again, it's fairly new for them as well to do all this, but I think they have a good grip on that, and they crack down on it. But Arshian or Ardian. That's where I've been seeing it. So I don't know. We'll see. All I do is alert the community to just, I call it snake season. Snake season's out. They're out there trying to take your money. So just be careful and definitely, follow the right people on Twitter, Discord. You'll know the collection. It's legit.
There's a lot of that.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah, these are some of my tips for us newcomers. Thanks.
For sure. Things to be wary of, but I think at the end of the day, if someone, if you do come down the track of plagiarism and you've copped it, and someone's basically just taken, and I guess for us artists, it's a lot less offensive with an idea, and it's more when someone directly takes your aesthetics. They actually take the structure of your drawing, which would suck. I wouldn't really give a shit if someone just kind of tried to draw their own flamingo. In fact, that's kind of almost like a form of
like a tribute. You mean?
Yeah. You wouldn't give a shit if someone had gave it a go. But what you would be really kind of cut about is, like I said, if someone really didn't, they gave it a go, but they've taken the structure of your entire drawing and lay it on top of each other. It's literally the same thing. That would hurt. I think that would definitely hurt.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Is there any other
but
challenges?
getting inspired, it's always a part of art. So getting inspired by other artworks and other artists has always been, and will always be.
There's no such thing as an original idea, right?
Yeah.
There's no such thing as an original idea. We just as artists, we just swallow and regurgitate. That's basically your only fucking job. Can we talk about kind of any other kind of challenges or just speed bumps? Purely because this shit I find way more interesting than the things that everyone's found successful. I feel like, just the speed bumps is kind of like what we can all kind of learn from. So is any major kind of challenges, I guess, generative or one of one, as all you artists have found along this journey of becoming NFT artists that you can share with us all?
Well, I think one of the challenges artists will face, well, at least that's what I'm facing, and maybe you guys too, is that you definitely should be aware that you're kind of an investment instrument for some people, not for all, but for some, and that you somehow have to deal with getting pressure from different sides at some point of time, especially when you're getting more successful. And that you definitely be prepared to it, and that you think about how to interact with those kind of people, and that you not get distracted from your own vision and from the vision you had in your mind from the first time, and why you're doing art and what you want to transfer to the people. So that's always very important to have this in mind, and to not get influenced in a bad way, in my opinion, and to stay down to the ground and try to use your influence in a good way and not abuse it.
Yeah. Also, one of the hardest part about being an NFT artist is you have to work with a programmer. I mean, you have to work with someone that's coming from a practice that's really not in my understanding, actually, because we are doing generative art, but I've never done generative art before I heard NFT, and it's kind of challenging time to time.
Can you talk a bit more about that? Because I've also been in the same position. I've had to develop the exact same relationship with like a coder. I call it this brand new relationship between numbers nerd and the artist. Can you talk about those challenges that you've faced with your coding team and the numbers geeks versus the art geeks?
Yeah, so because it's generative, everything have to be perfect, and you are working as a team, not just as a art team, but with a coder, as you said, and there's challenge in there's already challenge in working with another artist, because you have to make sure that your styles are same. The parts you are making have to be fit perfectly, and you can't be together all the time. So there are sometimes there are times that you need to go like how do you say it, from your by your head, but and you can't ask about that just at that time. So that's one of the hard part, and the second is
We'll give it a little bit. See, hey, Mama, I think you've dropped out potentially.
Yeah,
Mm.
that
Yeah.
happened.
Maya, do you wanna try and?
Yeah, I think I can go on. The challenges between us, I can talk about that. Yeah, as he said, we need to meet at a point that our styles need to be just, you know, when people sees them, they need to think that only one hand made them. So we always send each other our works, and we touch each other's pictures, paintings, and we need to work together all the time. And
That's
it's
really
working.
that's super interesting. So
Yeah.
does like one person focus on, like, let's say weapons or hands, or someone focuses on the like the physical body attributes, another person does the drapery and the clothes? Like, how does it work? How do you break the how do you break the roles up in the drawing
Actually,
process?
we didn't make any we didn't decided on something like that. We just wanted to we did what we wanted to do, and we filled the gaps. And yeah, it's appeared. We made some sets. As you can see, they are on chats. There are 8 of them. You will be able to see them because there will definitely be one of each other. And we
there
make
will be
them,
one each.
and
Yeah.
yeah. By the way, I tried to send some pictures to the chat, but I don't think I am allowed.
Okay, let me sort that out. Give me one second.
Yeah, thank you.
worries.
Mama, do you want to finish?
Yeah, sure. So, by the way, as you said, I actually to work on the line works, while Mare, I wanted to let Mare work on the textures.
Yeah, he hated he hated it.
Yeah, I hate doing textures because I usually work with only lines. Like I can, if I can find one of my own works photo, I can send it to you. So I'm gonna search for it. But yeah, at the beginning, I wanted to make only line works, and I wanted Mare to make textures. But while we were working on it, it was not possible as we saw. So yeah, so we just dive in and made whatever we can.
Yeah, definitely. No plans at all.
Yeah.
That's the way.
I also really like what you said earlier, that like it's already like hard enough to work like in a team or like with other artists, and saying, I mean, and you're saying like how it's a challenge to work with like coders, for example. But it's just such a different field, I think. But like yeah, I mean, I like
Yeah,
that.
you
Like
need to
I just said,
understand each other and
for sure,
produce
yeah.
as as for their demands.
But I mean, I guess, but that's like such a cool thing, you know. I think like because it's two like such completely different fields, but somehow like now you have like some way like to like you kind of have a synergy then in the end like to work. And I feel like
It's
if you had a good team, I really like it's so
it's
it's
wild.
it's crazy if you think about it. Yeah, like it's just two completely
Well,
different fields.
where I've always had this feeling in this space, no matter where I am, that we're kind of a part of some sort of revolution. Like it's you know, of course the financial gains that an artist has the potential to make out of a well thought out body of work is insane, you know. And we're talking about artists that can catapult themselves up from basically nothing, purely based on the style and the integrity of their work. Like that's insane, you know. But with that air, it's like yeah, it's obviously gonna require some sort of adaptation or change, right? So this I feel like the change in this revolution is it's a less egocentric path for an artist, I think, maybe. And like it's a time for an artist to really see himself or themselves as a part of a larger thing, whether that's you know, listening to community and creating your one-of-ones based on the people who buy your artwork and the people who invest in your stuff, or whether it's completely having to, you know, dismantle the way you work because you're a part of a larger team. And everyone has to have input, whether it's because of coding reasons or whatever it is. You know, there's all these other things to think about. I think that's really humbling for artists, and I think it's a good thing for us to be pushed through in a way.
For sure, yeah.
It's an exciting.
I wonder, is there? Yes, sorry. Is there anyone who doesn't work with a team all by themselves?
I'm by myself, 100%.
Yeah, nice. That's very cool of you.
Well, you know, I have they're just one hand drawn hand drawings, and there's only 140. So there's 100 of the Fantom Punks, and then I added 40 Fantom with a PH Fantom Punks to the collection. And yeah, the reason why I did that is because the idea was the Fantom Punks were getting kind of too expensive for just everyone. And so I wanted to do another series and then drop them for really cheap, 100 Fantom or something really cheap. And
they were all hand drawn?
They're all hand drawn, yeah.
Wow.
Ended up putting one in the auction house, and it sold for 8,888 Fantom. So it kind of blew up that plan. And then from there, and what we were talking about earlier is, you know, I couldn't go ahead then and start selling them for 100 Fantom after that, because the guy that paid 8,888 Fantom wouldn't be too happy about that, right? So
that's another interesting talking point. Like, how as artists here, like, how do you navigate these important financial decisions, right? Like, that's another level of responsibility we've never really had to deal with too much before.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm always trying to. I always think of the past buyers and what they're thinking at that moment when a new one goes on the market. So I try to price them accordingly, and I feel disappointed if they go lower than the one from the week before. You know, I feel bad for the guy that bought the one the week before for more. But you know, it's out of your hands. There's not much you could do about that. But
that's kind of it. Like you've got this new relationship with your audience where you have to kind of be really you got to learn how to detach, I guess, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, it really is out of your hands once you mint it and post it, right?
It's just like music, man. When we write with our band, we write music. It's like I've always known that law. As soon as you release that album or you release that song, you know, and it's getting thrashed at over the radio or whatever, it's not yours anymore. Like whatever idea of that song you wanted is now in the hands of whoever is listening to it.
Right, so you have a band? What's your band? Can we listen
the
to
band, the band, Alex, Dan, and I are all in the band. It's called Boss Moxie. You can look it up on the internet and stuff. I might even post it in the chat. I just want to jump
You
over
on
to
Spotify or something?
yeah, you can listen to us on Spotify. It's kind of weird psychedelic jazz, kind of dark theatrical music. You if you're an artist, you'll probably
Nice.
dig it. You'll probably dig it.
Nice.
Nice. Can you say the name again?
Boss Moxie, so BOSS.
Boss Moxie.
Yeah, Boss Moxie.
Okay.
BOSSMOXI. Okay, so I've got a question here that has been scratched to get answered from Sylent. Someone wants to know why an 8,888 AVAX Warrior, why only that number? And what's the general inspiration behind AVAX Warriors? Can you tell us, can you kind of delve into that a bit for us?
Yeah. I mean, but like 8,888. I guess because it looks sick. Like 888 is like infinity, you know.
Yeah, of course.
So that was basically how I decided on 8,888, and what inspired it. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, cause I've always been like I mean, most of my work, my personal work, has been very like sci-fi related, and I've been like recently making a lot of these robots, and it was just an idea to kind of get these into a different format, you know. So like, cause mostly it would be, if you look at some of the images, like you'd have like these single, it's like very like a concept design basically. So you just have a single image, like one-of-ones. But I was just thinking about how could you get this into a different format, like a format, like a larger collection, for example. And yeah, so like a lot of science fiction movies as well, and video games.
Is there some lore and narrative behind it that you can kind of delve into, or is that, and if there is that being fleshed out from your brain, or is that lore and narrative coming from an outside team? What's the deal there?
The lore and narrative, like we have, like it's from the team basically. I mean, we like talk it out and stuff, but I'm just like creating all these artworks. But I feel like, I mean, it's a really nice synergy that like I would create like these visuals, and then we'd have a chat about it, and like and the lore would get like crystallized into something bigger by the team. So it's not only me, you know, which I really like. And this is, and yeah, like the lore is basically we have Alpha, like this one, like a very like a powerful AI, like the most powerful AI ever created.
Okay.
And she basically makes a bunch of clones, which are the warriors, where she stores part of her consciousness into, and they're like spread all over the world. And if you look on our website, we have a bunch of Medium articles where you can, like, there's like one of our team members, like really, I mean, Hunter Thompson is his name, like the journal, basically like in the story. Hunter is like a journalist who is like living with Alpha because like she's in hiding. So like all of these, like the evil companies would want to have her for herself, have like the AI technology for themselves and use it for bad. And that like company is called Megacorp, basically.
Yeah,
You know, like a whole story. So like I feel like it's really, I mean, it's like completely new like waters for me as well, but I really like it because I didn't expect like to have, I mean, I wanted to have like lore and some sort of storytelling in this whole thing.
Yeah.
But like it's been like growing and growing, and I feel like I mean the team as well has done like a crazy good job on like writing out all of this lore and stuff, and now it's become like a very important thing like for all of us to really be able to tell a story and not just have like a collection, but I mean, I guess I think like most of us, like also like with Avux Samurais, like with the whole story, I think it's really interesting to have I mean basically use these use it as a new medium to tell story, you know.
I think it's the best thing in the world, right? Like storytelling is quite literally the oldest form of expression that humans have. Like
For sure, yeah.
you know, there's
Yeah.
and nearly every form of art is just another form of fucking storytelling, you know. So I think having depth, and also like I'm a comic book nerd. I think most of us reputable artists are in any ways nerds in their own right. You know, so delving down the rabbit hole of someone's idea is like literally some of the most fucking exciting shit I could ever imagine doing. Like, I love how twisted and strange people's brains get. It's
Yes, man.
that's the best part about it. Clockworky, I just wanted to, I do want to have about 5 to 10 minutes at the end, guys, where we let people kind of raise their hands and come in and kind of ask some questions themselves. But Clockworky, before we do move on to that, I just wanted to ask you about your process just a little bit more, and I just want to know how long a piece takes, and particularly my question is, how long is that stage where you're looking at a drawing where you're deciphering whether it's done or not, you know?
Yeah.
Or is it decisive? Like, do you just know?
So let's say when we check back the pictures you just posted at first in the chat room, like the Sheriff of Defa sitting on the paper horse.
I'll post them again real quick. I'll post them again.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, this one took me, I'd say, around about 20 to 25 hours.
Yeah.
And the other one, the Pepperlin, so the DNA crossover of a paper frog and Marilyn Monroe, took me half of the time, I think. So
everything's kind of approached differently. Obviously, there's no set time for a work. It's kind of you just embark on the journey, and wherever it ends, it ends.
Exactly, and sometimes I'm just looking at a picture for like, I don't know, 2 days in a row and do nothing, do no changes or whatever, and then suddenly it came to some idea comes to my mind, and I just start working on it for another hour maybe, and then I just say like, okay, now check back once again. So I usually do like 2 checkups, like one checkup when I think it's finished, and I usually do some changes, and then after the second checkup, I usually normally I say like, okay, it's done, because otherwise I freak out. I could work on it forever, and at some point you overdo it, and but I did it with so many pictures in the past, so I'm somehow experienced in it, and found a good way on how to say, okay, this is finished for me, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah, it's the age-old question: is this done or not?
Yeah.
I always like to have cigarette breaks.
Exactly.
I go have a cigarette break. I go smoke a cigarette, walk around in the garden, like do
Yeah,
laps.
man, me too.
And then eventually I come back and I give it fresh eyes. I'm like, oh yeah, fuck it, it's done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
AVAX Samurais, can you guys expand just before we open up to the community for some questions? People can start raising their hand if they want, but can you guys talk about a little bit more about the that lore and the story behind the samurais, and if you want to touch on as well the attributes, how many attributes you guys are dealing with, and all that sort of stuff in terms of the generative side.
Okay, so you go on.
Okay, we have 135 attributes, all hand-drawn for sure. And we have 10,000 NFTs in total. And our lore is, as I said, we have the samurai. He loses his master, and he left to go on a journey to find his way through the identity. And in his roots, he finds a temple, and he hears a call from the
metaverse temple.
Yeah, this is our samurai metaverse temple, and he enters this temple, and as soon as he enters there, his self scatters around time and space. And his various identities all meet in the light, and they get stuck in the limbo. So the only way out for them is freed by a savior. This is the end part of our story. Yeah, and these are all his
So,
identities.
Basically, by minting a samurai, you're kind of like taking the 1/10,000th
you're freeing
of
him.
his soul, and you're kind of building him back together and bringing his soul back together. Is that kind of what's going on?
Yeah, there's this contrast,
Really
and he tries to find his identity, but eventually
He
he doesn't loses them. It just there is not just one. There are 10,000, and this makes you question, what is that? What is identity?
Yeah. Okay. I love it.
Okay,
Yeah.
can I add something?
Yes.
Yeah,
please.
sure.
So my team is gonna be angry at me because of me saying this, but yeah, here we go.
Please.
Okay, I'm kind of scared, but actually,
no.
we talked with some Japanese people. Also, my father is Japanese tourist guide, etc., etc. So I've been knowing Japanese people for all my life, and I grew up in Japanese culture, kinda. So the thing is, most of the Japanese people didn't like the story because samurai is really sacred for them, and a samurai is not easily loses his identity and
Of
tries
course.
to search for it.
Mhm.
But before we knew it, we wrote the story, so we couldn't change it. But we have some alternatives that
No,
didn't make it.
I think we're happy with it because yeah, he's a sensitive one. Just deal with it. And losing a master is a
Yeah.
hard thing for them.
I
Isn't that
guess.
right?
I mean,
Don't you think?
it enters an interesting conversation, right? Because like, I've always kind of had a problem, not so much a problem. Like, I understand kind of this air of kind of cancel culture, I guess, that we're in at the moment. I don't agree with it. I just understand why it's around. But one thing I've always feared about this, and you know, cultural insensitivity, which they would call it. I've always asked the question: what's the line between cultural and insensitivity and appropriation? Because as artists, appropriation is basically your number one tool. You don't have any other tools. That's the only thing you have as an artist, is the ability to appropriate anything, whether it's culture or other art you've seen or experiences. Your ability to appropriate something and make your own version of something you've seen before is everything. Obviously there is like things we need to be responsible for as artists when we're appropriating, you know, a culture or a historical time of aesthetics or whatever it is, you know. But I don't know. It's a weird zone where I feel like, for me, when I look at the work that you guys have done, I've always had a fascination with historic Japanese art, and I think that you guys have done an excellent job at like
Thank you.
evoking that style. You know, I was literally saying to Alex before you guys jumped on this morning, I was like, do they speak English? Like, you know, do they know what they're jumping into here? Like, you know, that was the level and the depth of the appropriation and the way that you guys have done such a good job about it. So
yeah, thank you very much.
I can't speak for the narrative elements. Like, I can't speak for like story and how the story element might be more offensive in terms of like cultural appropriation. But at the end of the day, like I said, I think appropriation is your tool, and you shouldn't feel guilty for as long as you're sitting there and thinking really long and hard about what you're doing, and you're putting some actual care and love and thought into your ideas. I think you're appropriating in the right way.
Thank you. Thank you a lot for that. I think there's a thin line between being loving your culture and being too sensitive, you know. And we didn't meet
Exactly.
anyone who's too sensitive, and I don't think anyone got offended by that. And
But
that's what is
no one got
important,
offended, by the way.
right?
Like, yeah. I'm sorry if I made myself. If I told. I can't talk. Sorry, but non-Japanese people got offended by it. They just didn't really like it, but outside of the Japanese people, people really liked the story.
We actually got only one comment on that. It was just one person, and they're like, you know, they're too tight. Not tight. They're too not too so serious on what they do, and I think they just wanted to challenge us on by asking those questions. They asked about us that don't you think is it wrong, like doing this, making them look like this? And no, I don't think they didn't like it. It was just like to challenge us, you know, Japanese people.
Yeah, I
They
described
like
myself
challenges.
wrong.
No,
No one
it's okay.
literally didn't like it, but they just challenged us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Notoriously one of the proudest races out there as well.
Yeah.
I have a question to Sylent if you don't have anything on your mind at the moment, Froyd.
Go for it.
Sylent, you're here, right?
Yeah.
How long did it take for you to produce all of those warriors?
Well, I mean, it's let me think. Usually, like now would be, I think we're like in like 2 months into this project, so or longer actually. So like I would first model like the very tedious part is done already, I'd say, like of actually modeling the character and assets. And like I mean I'm still working on it as we like right now and creating like more and more assets. But I think for like let's say like just the warrior without any weapons would be around 3 weeks. And that's
Just
three
the
weeks
figure?
on and off. Just a figure, yeah. And then add in another like 3 weeks for weapons. And there was a lot of like, I mean, it's hard to say because it's been like always, it's been on and off like, trying to figure out in what direction it's gonna go.
How
But
many
all
weapons
in,
are there?
sorry,
How many weapons do you have?
how many weapons? Right now we have 3 different tiers of like these katanas, and so you'd have like rusty katanas, shiny katanas, and like these plasma katanas. And like more variation would come into with different colors of the katanas. And so we have these 3 different swords, a two-hander, which is 4, crossbow 5, and I'm looking to add a couple more. So yeah, it's about like 6 right now, but it's still growing, and yeah, it's still growing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm asking because I also want to jump into the 3D world, and yeah, I was curious.
Nice.
Do it, man.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
actually gonna.
This is the push,
Yeah.
the push you needed.
yeah, thank you.
I really I actually wanna know how long does it take to render all of these, because that's the you know, that's the boring part, and I always hated rendering while I'm doing 3D modeling.
Oh, really? I feel like I don't. It's hard to say because I feel like for me it's the opposite. I feel like I really love like the process of rendering these things. I feel like I've done all the hard work and now I get like the reward, you know, to like make it look nice and stuff. Because like
No.
before, I mean, I mean, I get what you mean because it can be very technical as well, you know, like setting up the lights and then the texture doesn't work and or I don't know, but
Yeah, I was
it
gonna
depends.
say,
I mean,
you dodged my question before about the lighting. Can you talk about that and how much of the lighting is
right,
like your interjection and computer's interjection?
right. Yeah, I mean, most of these are just like 360 degree like HDRI images.
Hmm.
So
You
it's
can basically
all
place
computer
you
based
can basically
basically, where you
place a
can
light wherever you want, kind of thing.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, it just like replicates how light would bounce off. It's just like a 360. It's basically a sphere which would map the image onto like the sphere, and this like reflects on like it lights up the scene and reflects on your reflective materials as well. But for some images, I'd also like add extra lighting, so it's a bit of both, I'd say. But most of the base comes just from like lighting up with the HDRI and just finding the right angle. So I mean, you'd have to play around with it mostly, but yeah, it's just 360 degree images.
Yeah, it's wild. I'm keen to. I mean, I'm sure it's an extremely deep pond. Oh, but I'm keen to dip my toes into that world eventually. I love sculpting, as in like
It's a
actual
rabbit
physical
hole,
stuff.
man. Like,
Yeah, totally.
uh, but I don't know. I just really enjoy the process, you know, like
Mm.
of like creating something from scratch, and then I really feel like it's like a reward. Then you get to set it up, and basically, I mean, like, as you were asking before about like film and photography, I mean, I don't feel like it has that much differences. Like once you have your scene lit up and stuff, like looking for
Yeah.
the right angles, it's just I mean, like we said before, it's just a different medium, you know. But at the end of the day,
Totally.
you're also just like kind of directing your shot basically, and looking, oh, this is a nice like composition, and if I like, it would be more dramatic if I have a headlight on top of it, or you know what I mean? Like,
Yep. You
I
put your
feel like it's the same language,
It's cool.
or yeah,
You're putting on different you're putting on different hats throughout different processes. Like, you know,
exactly, yeah,
you've got your artist your sketchbook hat on at the very start of the process, then you've got your sculpting hat while you're on the computer, and then you've got your film hat on the end when you're finally creating rendered frames. It's really rad.
for sure, yeah.
I've got a question here that goes to all of us. It says, "What's the best program?" This is for new digital artists or new beginning artists that are out there. What's the best program you use for art on an iPad, and what's the best storage, etc., all that sort of stuff? Like some tips on people wanting to try
Procreate.
Procreate, for
Yeah,
sure.
man.
For me.
Yeah,
That's all I've ever
Procreate
used.
all the way.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, I will say it's very user friendly and easy to use, but I started with Photoshop. I had a Wacom at first, and it helped me to learn lots of stuff. Actually, I'm happy that I started with it because it's more complicated, but it gives you a lot more option to use. So yeah, it's pretty cool too, actually. Procreate is just easier to use, I think.
Yeah, and get to know how to use layers. Very important to use your layers.
Yeah, can you
Yeah.
talk? Can you
Yeah,
talk about?
I always have trouble with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
sometimes
still can't use them quickly.
gotta use the because and the worst is when you draw on the wrong layer and
No, that's the worst.
Combining
yeah,
colors on the same layer. Yeah,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Like
layers.
turning
Lines and
layers on and off
textures.
to see like what it is.
yeah, all that stuff. But if you could get used to using
Also,
them in the
masking.
beginning,
Masking is really useful. Uh,
There
you
you go.
can, yeah. It's yeah, on Procreate you can use every technique and tool there is on Photoshop for drawing.
Hmm.
Masking is really important, layering, and there's this thing liquify, and that's also very useful, but it makes you, how to say, the pixels, they, how do you say it, guys? The pixels go bad.
Like, yeah,
The resolution low.
Help me. Yeah. Definitely.
I love the pixels go bad.
They go bad. Yeah. No one helped me.
I did. By the way, I'm gonna say something controversial, but I hate digital art. I hate working on digital art.
I was actually going to say something. I wasn't going to say something as intense as that. That's pretty intense. I do love it though. I was going to say to anyone starting out as well. I think it's something that's kind of kept me involved and kept me kind of excited throughout my digital art kind of process is making sure I spend some time and put some time aside each week or each fortnight to do actual physical artwork. Sit down with a pencil and an eraser and actually draw on a piece of fucking paper. So, because like I think it's so easy in digital art to get kind of lost in that realm of the undo button, but the undo button is really what I think the iPad is all about. Like I don't do too much different things on the iPad, at least, that I would do on the computer, but the fact that I have the undo button right there and I can just get back to a blank white page is, I think, its real advantage in terms of drawing. But yeah, I couldn't fucking promote more the what's gained from having an eraser, you know, and having to erase a page.
But it feels like invention of gun, you know, like before gun, we were fighting with swords and it was manly as fuck, and it was the bravest way to fight and make wars, etc. Then we invented guns, and I don't really like guns. I don't know how to say it, but
you hate digital art and you hate guns, basically. So,
yeah.
No, I get what you're saying. I think I guess though, like, there's nothing. A katana blade is still one of the coolest weapons in the world, right? Even though it's a sword, and sure, it's, you know, considered a medieval weapon. When you hold one of those and you look at the craftsmanship that's involved in it, that's kind of my point. Like, there's a craft, there's something to be learnt by going back in time and sticking to those original crafts of holding a lead pencil or holding a paintbrush. I think that's just it's just important as artists to remember how tangible what we were doing once was.
Exactly, and take some time to also go out into art galleries and museums to see some traditional art. Always helped me a lot because we spend so many times in front of the screen. And as you already mentioned, like with getting in touch with physical art from time to time, like draw on a piece of paper, you also have to experience physical art, in my opinion, or just go out and get rid of your own like comfort zone and experience art in a different way. And it's also very important, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I really should be drawing more.
Remind yourself that.
This is what we hang out though.
For sure, yeah. Like, I used to draw like a lot more, but then I think since like studies, like finding out about all this software and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, they definitely get carried away. I think it's a really good point. Like, it's also about, I think, also like just appreciating, or also gives you more confidence, basically, you know, like to not have an undo button.
Yeah, dude.
I'm sure,
it's fucking weird. Like, I'll be drawing on a piece of paper now, and I'll go 2 fingers and I'll tap the page. Yeah.
Like, oh no, I messed that up.
Yeah, I'm like, oh no, no. Like, what's going on? Like, I'm like kind of going, my default subconscious is believing there is an undo button. And I feel like that's really harmful in my life in general if my life starts to believe that there's an undo button all the time. Like, what's that going to do to me psychologically, you know?
And when you draw on a piece of paper or do physical art where you don't have the undo button, and you may make a big mistake and you say like, oh, what the fuck is going on? I mess it up. But then you face a problem and you may experience some kind of very new process of how to solve problems and how to evolve your own art skills, because you find new ways to create visual languages you may not haven't thought about, and it can definitely help you to improve your own artistic style too,
and
which you even can transform into the digital work. later.
Yeah. And mistakes can become such an integral part of your style. You know, sometimes when you don't have that undo button, you do a mistake. It's like, fuck, I've got to work with this mistake. I'm not gonna start again. So then you end up working. That ends up becoming, you know.
I actually want to add something to it. If you saw my personal artworks that I shared earlier, that my style is making mistakes and trying to cover them up and getting loose in it. Like, I always make mistakes, like in my art and in my life.
You literally use mistake as your inspiration. You use mumbo. You make order out of chaos. Yeah.
Yeah, and I fucking like chaos. Like, I can't really open that more because people will think I'm a freak, but I love chaos and I love working on it.
I'm just imagining you like muttering to yourself, I hate digital art, and then you just scribbling all over a piece of paper.
Yeah.
But I'm sure this is like where a lot of like happy accidents happen, no? Like what you wouldn't have thought of before. So
I hope so. I wish. Yeah. Let's say it like that.
I'm going to open this up to anyone. If there's anyone in the audience who does want to ask a question, please raise your hand, jump in, make that happen. Otherwise, we're going to kind of bring this epic hangout to a close. I'm going to try and do this every week, guys. And then obviously, the friends that we've made here today and stuff, I'll try and get us back, every 3 or 4 weeks or something. I'll kind of hit you up and we'll get you back.
That'd be awesome. Great.
Yeah, man. It's such a nice concept, man. It was such a pleasure so far to talk to all of you guys. I'm so impressed by your work. Very, very nice.
Oh,
very cool.
Yeah, I love all of your works.
Yeah, it's such a great opportunity
so cool
for us to
have
connect.
A conversation. Yeah,
you know,
exactly. To have a conversation with different artists simultaneously instead of just having an AMA with one artist. So it's very, very nice. I enjoyed it to the max, man.
Yeah, just refreshing as well. Just not talking about finance and not talking about money. You know, I like that part.
Exactly.
Just being able to talk about,
I don't really get money. I don't really understand how money works. That's what I meant.
Yeah, but I just really love this format, man. Like also how like your choice of the artist. Like I feel like I also like multi-chain and all these different like completely different styles as well. Like I really love it.
For sure. And we're obviously the Mingos, we're trying to release on 4 different chains. That's kind of like where the end goal is. So that's kind of where I've started with the 4 guests idea. So eventually, hopefully, we'll just have 1 guest per chain. And they can talk about or just kind of everyone knows that the chains kind of operate separately financially and their own financial benefits. But I feel like across the board, pretty much every NFT art marketplace kind of has the same feel, the same look, the same vibe. You know what I mean? There's such similarities in all the artwork across any NFT marketplace. So I think that there is just kind of like a calling card to just be like, all right, well, like fuck everything that's going on around us. Let's kind of like all just kind of group in and make sure that there's a big, strong community that's not dependent on what financial chain you're with. It's dependent on the style and the amount of time and effort and passion you're putting into your shit, you know?
Yeah, I love it, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wicked, guys. Well, we made some fucking friends today. We've had a great chat. I'm really, really happy that this format worked.
Thanks a lot for having us, bro.
No worries.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for setting this up, man. That's really
awesome. Thank you so much.
sick.
Dudes, we'll do
True
this
honor.
again. We'll do this again. We'll do this again. Plenty of times over. Years and years to come. And then hopefully we'll meet up in real life and have a big artist party and get on the Pinksy Dust and have a good time.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, if we have permission to get high that party, why not?
Yeah, dude, you absolutely 100% have my undivided permission to get as high as you want.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I help you with that, man.
Fucking A, guys.
Yeah, I know you do. Like.
Busy. Yeah.
Also, before closing, Sylent, I couldn't appreciate your work enough because I couldn't talk about. But as I said, I'm a 3D modeler as well, but I'm doing polymodeling more than sculpting because I'm good at doing props. So I really liked your artwork. Just wanted to add that.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Yeah.
Fuck yeah. And if there's anything else that anyone else wants to add, guys, please get it out there before we call it. But yeah, it's been a great time. Again, just to recap, we've had the guest on the episode today has been Fantom Punks. He's a unique one-of-one NFT artist. He's working with digital pixel art drawings. Sylent, who is a 3D digital rendering artist. He works with a project called AVAX Warriors. Check him out. Clokkworky here. He is a one-of-one NFT artist as well. On the Fantom chain, he's dealing and working with Psychedelic Cubism. Check out his stuff. It's absolutely incredible. Also, tune into the auctions because I'm pretty sure you're pretty much on there every week, I think. The Tomb Heads auction house.
Exactly.
And then the last, of course, is our lovely friends Mare and Mama, and they're from the AVAX Samurai project. They're basically operate as a creative art team or duo / partnership. They work very hard together to kind of work in conjunction to create this generative AVAX Samurai art project. Check them out as well. Thanks again, everybody, for listening. Tune in next week. I'm basically going to try and set this as a time. So Wednesday 9 p.m. UTC every single week, same time. Always 4 artists. Always a good time. Bit of a hang and a chat and a chance for people to kind of share their shit. Thank you so much, guys, for being a part of this. We've got a long friendship ahead, I think. Make sure, don't be a stranger. Reach out. Stay close. And yeah. Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah.
Also,
Thank you again.
So much to
Yeah,
you too,
thank
man.
you. Thank you.
No worries, guys.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Bloody oath. All right, we'll call it there, and I'll talk to you in the metaverse.
Great. Cheers.
Hi, guys.
Thank
Nice
you,
to meet
guys.
you all.
Thanks so
Ciao,
much.
ciao.
Cheers. Bye.
Ciao. Ciao. Ciao.